All right, so here we go. I do have a new microphone that my awesome boys got me for Father's Day today, so I played around with the volume settings on it, but you might need to adjust your volume settings too. I apologize. I tried to get the my loud computer fan minimized in the background. I think I did it decently, but please give me any feedback as far as the volume, clarity, or anything along those lines. So here we go. Let's take a look at their last round. So interesting thing, round 4, U.S. buy, they bought 4 infantry, 2 fighters, and a destroyer. And that's because, remember, he had to buy new transports because he used up his infantry up here. So in essence, as far as the Fleet Navy Air Force battle goes, he bought 3 new units. When I'm doing a defense against a KJF, my goal is to build at least as many units, even if they're not as effective of units. So I want to make sure I build at least 3 Navy Air Force units in my book for when I can. Now, obviously, you're not going to always be able to keep up with U.S. Eventually, U.S. is going to overtake you on income, and they're going to be able to build more, yada, yada, yada. I know that. But the goal is to match them as much as I can for as long as I can. And remembering, in this game, I still got a little bit of a heads up on them. I got an advantage still right now as far as things go. If we look on the board, I've got 8 fighters spaced throughout, 2 bombers, so there's 10 planes, 10 subs, so there's 20 units, 22, 24, 25, with the extra battleship, so I'm going to call that 26 there. His battleship cancels out my 1 battleship, so 26. So I've got basically a 26 there. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 22, 23. So I've got a 3 up on him right now. So if I can match his 3 to 3, then that's great. And then if I can match another couple times, I can keep him away from the islands a little bit longer. But here's something definitely got to keep an eye on. He's building up a lot of fighters here, and I played a game, it was a duos game, I believe, with him and Snake maybe, where they did a KJF and we did a great job of defending, and we ultimately ended up winning that game. But an interesting thing that came about is when Russia evacuated and came through, they came through and landed, eventually their big massive people landed in Manchuria, and he was able to land all the Allied air in Manchuria, and all of a sudden those can all directly hit Tokyo and land back in Manchuria. And so that's something I've got to be very careful of, because there are Russian units starting to creep this way, and of course eventually he's going to evacuate this, and so we're definitely going to have to bulk up the ground on Japan before too much longer here, or we're going to get ourselves in trouble there. The other thing here is he's got a lot, going right in here, and with all his boats, with these fighters here, it's going to be awkward for him to shift back south. As we pointed out, 1, 2, 3, 4, they can't even reach the Solomon Islands. So it's going to get more and more awkward to go this direction. Although if I pull all the way up, he can send just the small ones there if I don't have enough air to cover that. So I do want to make sure I have enough air to cover a loaded carrier and destroyer, so he doesn't sneak in the back door with splitting up somehow, something creative that way. I should have my 2 bombers at the very least targeting him, but I would want a couple fighters in range as well. The problem is I'm going to need all my fighters to defend my ships, because whatever I do, he's got 10 fighters that can hit C-Zone 60 and 62, plus all of these boats. These boats can't hit them, but all of these boats can hit 60 and 62. So if I come back into 60 or 62, then I'm going to need a lot of defense there. And ideally, I'd prefer 62, so we can move some ground over to the mainland. But we may need to be 60 just so that we can have planes reaching back, the fighters still holding back here. I also want to try to get enough of a build. So this is, I know this is Germany's turn, right? And I'm talking all about Japan, but I'm going to try to get a big enough build. And so I've already done the calculations of if I can get all 8 of my fighters, both of my bombers, and 3 loaded transports, ideally with a couple artilleries in there, threatening, then we could maybe push them off. And I have to count the fact that these 2 fighters could join in, and then it'll depend. He could potentially fly in a UK fighter. I don't think he's going to fly the Russian fighter in because we're going to have our Germans sitting on his doorstep here. But he might be able to fly him over for a turn. I'm not exactly sure. So it's going to get interesting here. It's a weird, you don't normally see a fight over the Soviet Far East, right? I mean, how many games do you see a build-up going there? But this could be a critical build-up because they're only 2 steps away from, or really even just 1 step, excuse me. I was talking about Manchuria, but really Buryatia does the trick, right? If he gets his units into there, that too is still hitting directly at Tokyo. So the good news for me is the turn order aspect of this, right? So the U.S. has to go first, so Russia has to secure it before all the fighters can land in it. So we just need to make sure that we have enough presence so that if he throws a U.S. transport, then he could fly over a Russian plane, Russian infantry, so we could have, well, I guess we could have 5 because he can't attack with the U.S. with an AA, but he could have 5 infantry and a fighter. So we definitely want to have enough to take out 5 infantry and a fighter because we don't want that to stand and then him be able to load up his airplanes into there. So, in any case, it's an interesting development that you don't see very often in KJFs is this very real threat of air. And the fact that I have been building a lot of subs means I do need to build more surface when it comes to Japan's turn because all this air is going to threaten my surface fleets. But I did do my calculations. I've got 38 IPC, which should allow me to build a carrier for 14, a bomber for 12, so that's 26, a destroyer for 8 is 34, and 1 artillery, so that'll have 2 potential artilleries to use with my 3 transports. Building another carrier, of course, allows 2 more fighters to land in the oceans, which I'm going to need for the defense because of the air. So we're actually adding 4 units for defense in the water. But we are adding 3 units, destroyer, carrier, bomber, as far as Navy Air Force goes. So we're matching his 3 build. So that'll be pleasing. Plus we're going to have the artillery. Hopefully he doesn't airstrike this artillery. He perfectly well could and probably should. That's why I would prefer to go here so I could grab him and bring him on over to the main island where he's safer, right? He can't airstrike but two fighters and then they have to land on a carrier. So that he would be safer over here, but C-Zone 62 doesn't allow me to dead zone C-744. So that's what we're looking at. Although I guess I will have 3 bombers versus 4. Maybe we'd be willing to risk that. I don't know. We could probably throw a couple subs back because the subs aren't really helping my defense so much as the surface fleet is. So maybe leave a sub back here too. We'll see. But we'll land in one of these 2. We're going to put our fleet in one of those 2. All of that is to say is that ideally, we can bring all our air back. But we definitely need to bring at least 6 of our fighters need to come back. If I want to go into 60 or 62, that is. So I really kind of need these guys to live and not have to use them on West Russia, but at the same time, I don't want to lose momentum here, so I need to stack West Russia. West Russia right now, if I go all in, if I leave 2 infantry back in Arch, and I lose one attacking, that gives me 16 infantry. And I really need that fighter in there to make this more comfortable. If I don't have that fighter in there, it may be willing to give him that shot, although I don't really want to give him that shot. Right now, if I don't lose an infantry, then it's, going to be much more costly for him to try to attack, and I don't need the fighter there. So hopefully that's the difference between a hit back or a not hit back on that one little infantry sitting in West Russia right now. So hopefully we don't get a hit back. If we have to send a fighter, it's okay, though. I'm okay doing the one fighter 16 if we have to. We're just going to lose a little bit of pressure on the Soviet Far East. For that matter, I even thought about blitzing a German tank through here to gobble up some of this territory. I even thought about the German tank could come down here with the bomber flying across 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and take out this fighter, but then that puts my bomber way over here when he's about to take 3 territories, and I only got 1 air unit to trade with Germany right now. This is my weakness, is the only 1 air unit, so that's why, as you can see, I'm already prepping to build some more artilleries. 1, they're good for the final attack, but as we calculated before in the early round, but 2, I'm going to have to use artillery, unfortunately, to trade. Because he's gonna force me to trade heavy now. If he lands up in Norway, then I'm not really gonna be dealing with that. But what I'm really concerned about is this transport bringing a infantry tank battleship can come up to 4, hit Arch with 2 fighters and a bomber hitting, trying to pick off my Japan planes that I need to leave behind. I'm selecting an amount so that it'll be more costly to him. So it'll most likely take out a couple of his fighters to take out a couple of my fighters. So hopefully it'll be dissuasive. A lot of times you'll hear people say, don't take an allied fleet to sea zone 4. Well, for US, that's horrible. But for UK, that's not so bad because he can still come back 1, 2, come into 6 and drop units into 2 places. So it's not so bad to take a UK fleet up there, especially since I really don't have any air, again, to attack against him. Other than my 3 Japan fighters, which if he does that, he's trying to kill a couple of those. So it's going to be interesting. This next round is going to be interesting. And we may have to adapt our Japan turn based on what happens on 1 infantry in West Russia. So anyways, we're building the 9 and 3. So again, I'm always doing my checks, building 5, 6, 7, 8. They're going to be able to attack on 9. Again, 9 is my target. We're going to be throwing a stack into West Russia on 5, which is always my goal, is to get into West Russia on G5. So we are going to get there on G5 very thinly. We'll see what he chooses to do. We will have decent numbers following up behind him. I think we're going to swing these guys. Maybe either one of these doesn't. We might swing here and then come down. I don't know. We don't want to. We want to make sure we have enough here so that UK doesn't snipe Karelia on us. So, all right. So that's a lot of talking, a lot of setup. Just trying to give some thoughts behind, the decisions I make. I know a lot of KJFs are questions, and including how do you do a KJF defense. So hopefully I'm giving some insight on that. So we're going all in. I'm going to leave 3 back here for the moment, because I may decide that I'd rather have 3 and 3. Actually, it's more that I'd rather leave the AA, if anything. So we're just going to push all in. Best case scenario, our infantry does not hit back, and maybe we can leave the AA and Arch, and that would be even that much more discouraging to him. I'd still need my fighter. I would need my 1 fighter if I did that, though. So I'm not sure. I may just give that Arch battle up as 2 infantry, 3 fighters, regardless, no matter what. And it's just a matter of whether we need the J fighter or not. So I'm going to see if I can find... So this is what that arch battle, if UK was to take an infantry, a tank, 2 fighters, bomber... Oh, missing his battleship. Shoot. Because the battleship can hit 2. So a 1-round shot is actually pretty even for him. Possibly getting one of my fighters, possibly more. Possibly losing one of his fighters in doing so. 2-round shot. Starts becoming slightly more profitable for me. I'm down to 1 fighter. Really, that's the whole round. He's likely to lose 2 fighters. I'm likely to lose 2 fighters. Yeah, and the more I think about it, I just may just leave the AA there because that'll be dissuasive on the UK, and if I have to put 1 J fighter in, that's fine. We'll review what we do on Japan's turn then and decide what we want to do as far as that goes if we do put 1 there. We can always do something else on our builds. So we'll figure that out on Jay's turn. But I just really want to get my West Russia 5 situated because we're going to be falling quickly as we start losing units, losing momentum as he starts having to trade and make us trade on the Western Europe side. So no hit back would be phenomenal here. And well, both of them would be great, but West Russia is what I'm really talking about. Let's get a 5. Let's get a 5. Get a 5. Get a 5. Get a 5. Let's see a 5. 3 works too. All right. Glad for the no hit back. So then Japan's turn will decide whether we actually move the Japan fighter in there or not. We do want to start moving these guys this way. Does it matter where these guys go? Let's see. So 5, 6, 7, 5, 6, 7. But it does allow me to come 6 here if I need to. Is there any reason I would need to though? Rather than going here. Only if these guys could go into here to stack. But Russia's going to be building quite a few, right? Yeah, they're going to be building 7 guys. So we're barely squeezing in here, so we're not going to be able to squeeze into there on 7 without these guys. So ideally, last turn, I should have had these guys here, them coming here right now on 5, so they're ready to go there 6 possibly. So ideally, these guys should be going into Ukraine right now. That was a mistake for me by not counting out my steps. But at this point, it doesn't, whoops. It doesn't make much difference between the two, so we're just going to come on up here, not let anything silly happen. And that way we got plenty to attack whatever he ends up trading into Arch. So we're going to have to sit in West Russia on G6. Almost a given, essentially a given. And then G7 move in here. G8 build here. Hopefully G9 still get that attack. So we want to move our... Now we're going to leave our AA back for defense. Alright, yeah, I'm going to leave the AA in there because I didn't like the number of fighters he was getting, so we're going to do that to dissuade his attack. It also makes it harder, rougher on Russia to attack, so we're going to do it that way. I need at least one artillery back this way. I'm going to go ahead and push the other 2 artillery up to the front. That gives me 1 artillery to trade, 1 bomber to trade. And forward march we go. Alright, I'm kind of regretting my goof up there because I could have been going into here probably on Germany 6 had I not goofed that up. So little frustrated with myself on that one, but oh well, it is what it is. We are going to have some guys going this way to help protect Karelia as we come out. I didn't put anybody here this turn since 6 we're going to be sitting in here anyways, so on G6 we'll still be able to protect Karelia, and then G7 coming in, but we're going to probably split a couple of these guys over here or a couple of these guys this way to help protect Karelia so that we don't lose that to UK. It's a bummer we didn't do better with our Air Force versus Navy flights because I hate once UK starts getting some Navy going up here, and he's already got, you know, he's got a six point to my 1 point, so he's got a 5 point advantage how I count the Navy and Air Force right now. So it's going to be a while for me to be able to push his Navy out of here. So he's going to be able to do a lot of damage with the UK over here on the west coast and the Norwegian area. All right, there we go.